Welcome to the Postville Yeshiva Alumni Podcast, where alumni share memories, experiences, and life lessons with the current Talmidim. We hope you enjoy. Okay, welcome. Thank you, Moshe. You have to introduce yourself, tell the bochur who you are, where you came from, and how you ended up in Postville.
Sure. Thank you, Rabbi Levin. Thank you, everyone. I'm a little nervous because usually when I was sitting across from Rabbi Levin, I was in trouble. So I'll have to get over it a little bit. So how did I get to Postville? First year of Masifta, first of all, I grew up in Shlichus in Delray Beach. I was a shliach there in Florida. I went to Muncie for Shir Aleph. I went to Muncie for Shir Aleph Masifta. It was a little bit of a free-for-all. So I went for Shir Bays to Coral Springs. It was a structured yeshiva. I enjoyed it. I learned over there. I went there for Shir Bays and Gimel Masifta. I went to not such a good summer program after Shir Gimel. So by the time I got to Postville, I was a little bit of a troubled bochur for Rabbi Levin. Definitely, I think I tested him a little bit, but I went to Postville. I was having a difficult time. Ended up getting kicked out, and I got kicked out to Rabbi Levin's surprise. It was a turning point for me. Rabbi Levin ended up letting me coming back. Baruch Hashem, I had a great rest of the year. Once I did come back, I came back again. After Postville. So I skipped a little bit, but I went to Postville because I had a friend who was going there. I didn't have so many options. It ended up being an amazing place for me. It was, I had, challenges and ended up having a great rest of the time after I came back after getting kicked out and skipped to now. Now I live in Hollandale. Baruch Hashem, I'm married. I have chavrusas. I have a great community over here. Been playing guitar, which I started learning in Masifta. That's kind of where I am now. And now I work in construction. That's a little bit where I am now. I'd be happy to dig in on any specific points.
One thing you said, I want the bochur to hear. I want to understand it myself. You said that one summer was enough to really put you in a bad place.
Yeah.
You had 2 good years in Coral Springs, and at end of Shir Gimel, you had one summer experience, which was really, really changed who you were.
Yeah. So when I left Coral Springs, I left on a really high note. I showed up to camp the first day, not even just the first day, probably even the first 2 weeks, wearing a white shirt and everything. I was putting tefillin on people, on some of the it was like a day camp. I was putting tefillin on people who were, not so from or whatever. And I started off, very strong. And then, not being, I think for me, I think maybe some people are different. For me, being not, at least at that age, I think I was 17 maybe, not being in like a good environment, just wore down on me, and like little by little, the white shirt went away, and then other things, and it just was kind of like I don't know, a cascading effect, and it's happened multiple times throughout my life, and each time taught me new lessons, but it's really a thing that for me, like, I didn't see it as it was happening. Only at a certain point, like, something hit me. Hashem gave me the bracha of like a little patch to like wake me up, and like, oh wow, like this is where I am now. And then from there, the growth can happen.
So the challenge was the fact that there was no supervision, or was the fact that it was a bad environment?
I think it was not such a good environment. Like I was already like, it was like not such a good environment in terms of, first of all, there's no supervision. I was there, like there was no one over me. I was just able to, do whatever I want. And there was also like, it was like mixed. It wasn't like just like a boys' day camp. It was like a regular Camp Gan Israel day camp, boys and girls and whatever. And I was 17 years old. And so like it just, you know, it wasn't the ideal setup for me, at that time.
Yeah, because lately more and more yeshivas are forcing their talmidim to stay for the summer, and many
Hmm.
yeshivas are forcing their shir to stay as well for precisely these reasons. The bochum don't like it, but they have to hear to realize that this is what's important for them at this stage in life. Well, the 17-year-old bochum, that's what ends up
Yeah.
happening. I mean, you're not the
Yeah.
only one that got
Yeah.
affected by
Yeah.
it.
I wouldn't like it either if you told me I had to stay.
But retrospect now, you
Mhm.
will, it would have been better for you. I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
the resentment will probably be worse. The resentment will just make you go the other way. But for many Bochum, this is
Yeah.
the better choice, is to keep them in a better environment with better supervision, so they're not ready yet to be on their own, to make their own decisions yet.
I hear.
Um,
I hear.
you're at this age, you don't understand it. The Bochum are arguing, whatever. But no. As of now, we're
I
not forcing.
understand.
As of now, we're not forcing Shigimel to stay.
Yeah. I
But,
think
uh,
too
but
much
many.
in either direction can be problematic.
Uh,
Mm.
we'll see already.
Yeah.
Some of them are staying on their own voluntarily. So that's
Mm.
huh? He's saying he wouldn't want it at the time, but looking back now, it might have been better for him. But everything is a shkacha pratis.
Yeah.
It all works out.
That's the thing. Everything's a shkacha practice. Because of that experience, I learned a lot and it helped me going forward. So
But
so
if
you can
someone
make
says
arguments.
after va'ashuv, about tshuva is proud of it. Everything helped in his journey. But the chatchila to go do avedis, to do mitzvahs, doesn't work that way. Akapani, move on. You said you're in
Yeah.
construction now. What are you doing in
Yeah.
construction? You manage. You just bang the whole day at
I don't,
hammer
I've
the
never
nails.
tou I've never touched the tool, so I'm a little bit of a fraud. No, I work in like the back office management. So I'm doing like project management. I basically started off as this is also like a little bit of a shkacha prata story that after I got engaged and I was feeling a little stressed and anxious about how I was gonna we were gonna be able to my wife and I be able to like pay for everything and support ourselves. I was running the numbers. I'm a finance guy, so I was running the numbers and things were gonna looking like a little bit, you know, like it was gonna be hard. Come the day of my wedding, my brother tells me, literally at the wedding, he's like, your cousin or our cousin Mendy is looking to hire someone. They were gonna about to hire someone, and then it fell through. Like they didn't like it, whatever. They need someone, and they'll pay you X amount of dollars, which was, a lot more than I was making. And so I probably shouldn't even been like thinking about this during the wedding, but like I told my cousin who was there, I was like, let's have a meet. He's like, talk to me like a few weeks after the wedding, please. Like it's your wedding right now. We ended up talking like 2 weeks later, and we had an interview with his other partners, and they ended up hiring me. I was an executive assistant. They basically, the partners, they owned and operate multiple companies, e-commerce, the construction company. They have two brick and mortar stores for a different company. They have a whole big operation. Started off as one thing and it grew over time. So I was the executive assistant. I was just doing miscellaneous things for all the various companies. Well, they kind of trained me. I was learning things. Over time, they took away the things that I was not good at and started um, giving me more responsibilities and things to do that I was more adept at. And so now I spend like 80% of the time, 90% of the time working for the construction company. What I do is I'll manage like coordinating between our contractors and customers. I'll send out quotes, I'll price out jobs. I do like sales. So that's my area of the process. Like we have teams who do the actual building. Um, and we have a guy who goes to people's places to measure and create quotes, and I'm kind of a middleman just and making sure everything runs smoothly and whatever needs to get done happens. So that's kind of my portion.
Is this, you guys do new construction or remodeling or
So
both?
the specific construction we do is windows and doors. So impact windows and doors in Florida, where I live, there's a lot of hurricanes, and so people either have to build shutters over their windows, which is very annoying, or they can buy these windows and doors, which are hurricane proof. And most buildings and houses, if they're in some kind of association or HOA, which is very common in Florida, require these types of windows and doors. Yeah,
Now,
so that's what we do.
do you think that you needed any training beforehand for this? You got trained on the job, like going to college or stuff like that would have helped you in your current job, you think?
So I did go to, I did do some college. I got my, what's it called? I got a half a bachelor's degree. I got an associate's degree.
You were
Uh,
online college or you were in the actual
It
college?
was it was I did some classes online, some classes in person. So I
For how
did
long?
college. Um, Probably, yeah, between like 21 years old and like 25. Like I did it at a slow pace. So I did like 2 years worth of college in like 4 years or something. I was also working and um doing some other things. So I didn't give so much of my time and energy to it. Um, I I personally, if I'm interested in something, I can sit by myself and learn it very well. And so before I went to college, I was very interested in finance and investing, and I still am. So I learned a lot on my own. And when I went to college, to be honest, like I know this is exactly what you want to hear and what you want the kids to hear, but it's the truth. At least for me, like the way that the college teaching is set up, at least for finance, maybe for other things it's necessary if you want to become a doctor or a lawyer. But the way they set it up is let's just get the kids to pass these tests. And so we could show our boards that, our kids have an 80% pass rate, as opposed to actually teaching people how to learn and actually how to understand the concepts that we're trying to teach. As an example, I had a statistics class. Instead of teaching us why the formulas um, do something or to understand what the formula is, they would give us a cheat sheet and the commands on the calculator to do in order to get an answer. But it didn't teach anything about statistics in terms of understanding how it works and how you could understand it, you know, and to be able to like use it later. Like I'm not going to walk around my whole life carrying this statistics cheat sheet and a calculator. So that's my big gripe with college. I didn't close the door on it completely. I paused it for now, but I have other things that I feel like I have a limited amount of time. At some point, maybe I'll finish it. I hope I'll never need to, because I hope that my other Kalim for Parnassa will be successful enough where, I don't have to go and learn I could learn better myself. So
Now the other question, do you feel that your yeshiva experience helped you at all in your life and wherever you are now?
absolutely.
More,
Um,
more so than college?
yes, yeah, absolutely. The yeshivas, college, I wasn't going to college no, I had like yeshiva felt like it took up a lot more, like I was in yeshiva a lot more of my life than I was in college. Um, I think yeshiva and the things that we learned, like I think learning Gemara really helped me with like analytical thinking and and all these things, and then Hasidus with more like um it's a different kind of thinking, more abstract thinking. So I think that, as well as specific rabbis to give credit. As like a young Baruch in yeshiva, I was always like a class clown. I still am a little bit of a class clown, even though I'm not in school. Now I'm an office clown. But I always like to make jokes, and I always I in a way, like I kind of thought, because I always acted like silly, I kind of thought of myself as just like a silly person. And I didn't think of myself as having much ability in terms of learning. Like if I knew that if I could like sit down and learn something, but I didn't have so much confidence in that regard. And Rabbi Levin and Rabbi Shmuley Ben Shimon told me or told my parents a couple of times, like, Maishi, you have a head on your shoulders, like, you can learn. And so that actually gave me a lot of confidence that when I did do my learning, even after yeshiva, whether it was in college or whether it was learning things on my own, that I had a much greater confidence. And I think that was a big factor to that I could sit down and I could learn something. And if I could sit down and learn a piece of Gemara, I could definitely sit down and learn, finance, mathematics, or whatever other subjects. I think someone who knows how to sit down, learn Gemara, or sit down and learn Hasidus and learn how to take these very like lofty topics and to be able to turn that into something that they can actually understand through mashalim or whatever it is, that they're going to have a huge leg up in the world. And these are like the hardest, in my opinion, hardest things to learn. So like I didn't, I like going to college, I was like a little bit like laughing, like all of these kids who went to like high school and everything, they've been learning science and math and things for years. And I was going there and I was getting A's and these people were, really struggling. Like I wasn't learning science and math for all these years. And I don't think I'm a super genius. I think that the rigorous learning in yeshiva and learning Gemara and learning Hasidus and those things really helped me. I did have a really hard time in yeshiva because I did not have then, and I don't think I have now the ability to sit down for 14 hours and learn. But I do have the ability to sit down and learn and then have, breaks where I can play sports or play music or do other things. I think that's kind of crucial for me. I have a lot of energy, so I need to have, ways to, um, channel that energy. Yeah.
Yeah, just I forgot that I didn't tell this. I told Bochum in the past about a certain bochur that in Yeshiva were here once, and not only was he good at Sudoku puzzles, he was able to create Sudoku puzzles. I said,
Yeah.
this is the guy. This guy, he knows how to make Sudoku puzzles. How'd you learn how to do that? That was on your own?
Yeah, because I was just my brother when I was younger taught me how to do Sudoku, and then when I was in yeshiva, I've maybe I think I ran out of puzzles from the book I got, and I just thought, if anybody plays Sudoku, there's a certain rule that you have numbers 1 through 9 going across, 1 through 9 going here, and then there's 9 boxes. And so as long as you're not violating any of the rules in terms of the same number being in a row, either vertically, horizontally, or in one of the 9 boxes, you'll be fine. So I just started off, I made all the boxes and I just put, the, started putting the numbers. And if there was a rule that was violated, I was just, switch it up. I'd make one that works. And then from there, I'd fill in, I don't know how much of this is going to translate. I'd make like an answer key first. And then from there, I'd make a puzzle where I would, the, like, I'm trying to see how I can explain. You could set up the numbers in a way where you give something away. It's kind of like if I'm giving a riddle, I can give you 2 hints, which is going to lead you to the answer. So that's in a way where I would set up hints to give answers. That answer will be a hint for another answer, et cetera, till you can complete the puzzle.
You figured this out yourself,
Yeah.
and you still thought that you were not smart.
No, I didn't think it was. I didn't
No
think it
one
was
knows.
very
Everyone
complicated.
plays Sudoku. Everyone knows how to do it. And there's not one bochur that I ever met ever that knows how to create puzzles besides you. So whatever. It's
Yeah,
funny.
I guess I had limited experience.
Limited experience.
No, in terms of interacting with people and like
You didn't realize
I
what you
didn't
had.
realize.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. That's one of the reasons why when we spoke to you that
Yeah,
you're smarter than you think you are. That was one of the reasons that I
yeah,
said if you could figure
yeah,
that out, you could figure out your murder too. Akopanim.
yeah.
Okay, the Baruch want to hear experiences from Postville, things that happened over here, the good, the bad, the ugly, the funny, the sad. Besides the fact that you said you were kicked out, but other stuff.
Why was he kicked out?
I'll give a little bit. I'll give a little bit on that because one of the reasons that I wanted to do this was because I felt like people can benefit from some of my experiences. So I was hiding a phone in yeshiva, and it was causing me a lot of stress and anxiety because Rabbi Levin was on the hunt. He knew I had it, he smelled it, but he couldn't prove it. So he kept on calling me in, asking me, giving me many chances. Moshe, do you have a phone? Me? No, absolutely not. Moshe, do you have a phone? No, I don't. Moshe, do you have a phone? The first time it was hard, and it took me a few seconds, or I don't know how long it took me, but to decide, am I going to lie or am I going to tell the truth? I said no the first time, and after that, it was just I couldn't I couldn't do anything else. I just had to keep lying. At least I thought. So I kept lying and lying. I don't know how many times I lied, but it became, it just became second nature to me. And at some point, Rabbi Levin had me sign a contract that says that if I was found with a phone, that I would get kicked out. So at that point, I even had the ability that I could have gotten rid of my phone then, and nothing would ever be a problem. But of course, I guess I had a certain gaiva or persistence, um, or yeah. So at some point I was sitting in a friend's car in Postville, and I was using my phone, and Rabbi Levin walked up. My heart jumped out of my chest, and Rabbi Levin finally busted me, and as per the contract, I was kicked out, which now I'm very grateful for. But then it was a very difficult and painful experience. But part of that was when you lie to someone's face 100 times and then they catch you, it's a pretty embarrassing and painful thing. I don't think I've ever experienced something like that before at that point to kind of break the trust with someone like that. So that was a real low point for me. And at that point, it was a very low point for me, and I felt Hashem really gave me a big humbling experience. And then I was going to, maybe at the direction of my parents, I was going to Coral Springs every day, and I would go there and I would learn. I was like, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know if I would ever be let back into yeshiva or whatever it was. So I just went to Coral Springs every day and I was learning, and I felt like I started to like pick myself back up again. And then maybe 2 weeks after I get kicked out, Rabbi Levin was had some rachmanis on me and let me come back. And I had a big aliyah from there. Just, I felt like from that point, I had like a bottom. And then from there, I had the Yerida Yitzirach aliyah. And yeah, and from there, I started sitting, I was learning, had a very great rest of the year in yeshiva, and also a very good next year. I don't remember what the question was. I'm very prone to tangents, so I apologize. I don't remember what the question was.
Very good, very interesting. No,
Mm.
how did I end up catching him? I tell the bochur all the time. When the bochur has a phone, it's very obvious. He's not involved. You can see very clearly. So about until
Yeah.
we catch him. So you were the first year of the yeshiva. Rabbi Zirkin wasn't here yet in your first year, right? He came.
No, he
He
came
came
the
the
second
second year.
year.
Right. So
Yeah,
that's why I was the manal. That's why it took me so long to catch him. If Rabbi Zirkin,
yeah.
he would have caught you on the first day. I'm not so good at these things. But then I don't know if he would let you back after a week. So it goes both ways. Um, okay. No, but I want what's any funny experiences, funny memories of Postville?
Oh, funny. Okay, so one time, my friend, he was sleeping in the middle of the day, and I was hanging out in the room, and Rabbi Levin comes in, sees him sleeping, and takes coffee. It wasn't hot. He takes coffee and he pours it on the bochur, and the bochur gets up and he like screams. He's like, ah, and then he asks Rabbi Levin, is there any sugar in it? And Rabbi Levin's like, what? I pour coffee on you, and that's what you're asking? and we're all just like laughing, and then he explains like, no, because I don't want it to get sticky. But that was a very funny. I still laugh when I think about that. It was very memorable, funny experience.
I tell the Bach more than that coffee wakes people up. So this is one of the ways of that.
Exactly. Mashke puts people to sleep.
No, I poured
No,
mashka. That was my mistake. Bach had a cup next to his bed. I thought it was water, so I poured it on his face. Never I got into his eyes. It happened twice over the years that I'm here. But because after the first time, it took me a while till I realized, and then Akubani. Ah, you might be. Okay. Okay, so finishing up. I'd like to ask our alumni, what's your favorite mitzvah?
My favorite mitzvah is tzedakah. I know
Huh?
it sounds maybe to some people it sounds a little funny. Favorite mitzvah is tzedakah. Um, I I for me tzedakah was something that at some points was still now it was something that's difficult, but something that was very and it was something that was very appealing to me about tzedakah was when I learned in Tanya. It said that tzedakah should a person give let's say $1 in one day, or should they give like a penny for 100 days? It's the same. It's the same amount, just what the time, just the time difference. So the Alter Rebbe brings the Rambam, who says that it's better to give one penny every single day. I'm sure many people have heard this before. Why? Because it has an effect on a person's neshama, on a person's soul, and on a psyche, that it actually changed him as a person. So it's very basically that a person giving $1 every single day is going to affect him in his brain. And this is also like a scientifically or neural. I'm interested in Torah and science and the intersection. So this is also very interesting to me. But according to neuroscience, every time a person does a kind of action, the brain makes certain pathway, and you do it once. The mashal that I like to give is there's a sidewalk and it's filled with snow. The first person to walk over it, it's very hard for him to get across. Second person, a little easier. After 100 people have walked over that pathway, it becomes smooth and easy to walk across. The same thing with any action a person takes. If a person takes many actions of holding on to their money and not giving it, it'll be very hard for them to ever give tzedakah, or maybe to even do chesed to another person. And the opposite, of a person gives just $1 every single day, they're literally molding their brain into a person who's willingly gives tzedakah. And it can be with anything. So it's very attractive to me as an idea that I can do something as easy as giving $1 every single day, and over time it'll make me into a more giving person. As like I've had many things over the years that I wanted to work on, and I like the idea that there's a few things that I can do every single day that over time, that every day it's easy, but over time can make a big difference. It's in a way, it's kind of like investing to me. Where investing, you invest a little bit every single day, you'll have millions of dollars when you're older. So too, with these kinds of things.
Very nice. Bochum, any questions?
What did he do after he got off the phone? What did he do with all his time?
Oh, this is you.
Oh yeah, that's a great question. That's a great question.
I can hear from
I should put it into the official question in the future. Ask the family.
That's a great question. After I didn't have my phone, first I to be like when I did have my phone, I was so full of stress and anxiety, and like Rabbi's gonna catch me. If anyone's ever seen like a movie before where maybe there's like a criminal or something, he's hiding from the police, like I felt like that. Like every time Rabbi Levin walked in the room, like my heart was pumping. After I didn't have a phone anymore, I felt very free. I still had on my flip phone, I was subscribed to, like you could get tweets to your phone. I don't know if people still do it. So I was still following basketball games. I would get the play-by-plays. So that occupied some time. I played a lot of guitar, played with friends, music. Yeah, what else did I do? I read a lot. Um, I played Sudoku. Um, yeah, that's some of the things I don't remember. I also learned in yeshiva a little bit.
Uh-huh. Okay.
That's the craziest thing that happened. Yeah, what's the craziest thing you
That was the
did?
craziest.
Craziest thing you did besides the whole phone saga.
Okay, so I don't know if this is the craziest, but this was like a little fun thing. So me and a couple of my chaverim, we um we wanted to watch a movie together. So what we did was, Rabbi Levin, I hope you don't get mad for me for saying the story, but
I was very annoyed by that. I remember that.
but
I remember where you're going with this story. I remember that. Yeah.
so what we did was we wanted to get the projector that was kept in one of the what's it called? The offices. We took the projector and we were planning on, okay, we're gonna watch a movie tonight. That same day, everyone was going crazy. Where's the projector? Where's the projector? Everyone was on the hunt. Me and my friends were the number one suspects. We couldn't do anything with it. We waited. We're trying to plan how we need to just return it. We're not even going to watch a movie anymore. We just need to return it. Finally, we came up with a plan. We had a whole diagram. One person, we looked who's in Zal, how many people we need to be able to return it to the office. We also need to put it into a place where somebody's going to go, oh, we found it. It was here the whole time. So our plan was to hide it under the desk. We sent in like first scouts to see like who's in Zal, who's in the way. We had a plan that there was going to be a few people go and just going to distract and talk to whoever was there. And then I was going to walk in with my backpack with the projector inside. So the guys go in talking, distracting. I go inside, I put the projector. Someone the next day goes, oh, look, the projector's here. And that's kind of how it ended. We never did watch a movie.
With that projector.
With that projector. We never did watch a movie with that projector. It was overall it was a fun experience. I'm sure, I think it was a better experience than the movie itself, to be honest. Was the whole heist. And taking it and returning it, that was better than the movie that we would have watched.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Moshe. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I hope you guys can take something from it. Thanks, Rabbi.
Yeah. Okay.
Take care.
We're in touch. Yeah. Bye-bye.
Be in touch. Bye.